Hi guys, Kathy Freeze here. Today I'm going to put together an easy redneck mount for your snake netting that goes around your gourd rack, your post above your predator guard. That will help catch any snakes that may be able to defeat your cylinder guard. And here's what I did. It's fairly simple. I have some fencing here. It's welded wire that we got from Orchlands here in Missouri. You can probably get it from any farm store also. And what I did was, this was a section I had cut out for the owl fencing. So what I did was I took the widest part here that I could from my scrap, and I'm going to cut out enough width to where I can bend this around the square pole, and then I'm going to cut out arms long enough to hold the netting. So the supplies you're going to need are some welded wire fencing. It's pretty lightweight. Some scissors, your bird netting to cut your bird netting with. This is just something I bought at Walmart. It's a better barrier for bird defense. And it's there's a lot of it in here. So scissors, bird netting, wire cutters, and some zip ties, because you're going to use that to secure your fencing around your post. So let me get started cutting. Did I mention you need gloves? So I have my nice square here cut out, and what I've decided to do is each one of these rectangles is 2 inches high and 4 inches wide. So I know that I need 4 of these to go around my pole, and then 2 high, and I went 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. So I'll have 16 inches in length, and I'll curve the ends of these long wires so that they can help hold the net. So I still have some more cutting to do. I need to cut out each one of these cross pieces so that we have arms to hold the net. So the first thing you want to do is, after you've cut your wires long enough, these are 16 inches long, and I've cut I've bent some hooks on the end, is you want to shape it around your pole so that it fits snugly against the pole, nice and tight. So if you bend it, okay, then you want to take these arms, bend them out so that they can hold the netting for you. Like that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put my predator guard on. I use the quick release predator guards from PMCA. I think they're 10 inches across. I think so. And I don't even use the brackets for mounting these. I don't use these. I mount them above this safety bolt. If you don't have one of those, you can drill a hole and put a bolt through. Cable is loose, not caught in your guard. And your predator guard should rock like this, your cylinder predator guard. I mount it up this high because PennCA recommends that the top of the guard be at least 4 feet from the ground. I'm 5'3", so I don't know how tall this is, but it's as far as I can reach when I come out to remove the predator guard. I also keep the handle on the winch down so that there's the furthest distance from anything that could help boost a raccoon or a snake above this predator guard. So I'm guessing this is about 6 feet, maybe a little more. Okay, I had to bring this in out of the wind because it was just impossible. So we've cut the right height wire that we want. We have 16-inch wires out here with a hook on the end that we've shaped to make sure we hold the snake netting. And we've shaped it around our pole. So the netting can be taken out of the packaging, unfolded and spread out, and then once you spread it out you want to refold it in half and then fold it in half again because you want it wide enough to fit across the arms here. And this may even be a little bit wider than you need, but nevertheless you can shape it after you. So I rolled it up to make it more easy to manage. And then you just take it and start rolling it onto you want to keep this gap open right here because that's where you're going to mount it on your pole. And you can lay it on here just like that. Just overlap it enough so you have enough that you can close the hole later. Make sure it's hooked here on the end to help hold it in place. And let's wrap it around on top of the wire. And by the way, the length of this roll is 20 feet. So I have 20 feet here to put on. And what I do when I get to the opening is I don't cross the opening because again you want to leave that opening to mount on. Just unroll a little bit there. Use your hook on that end to snag it and hold it because you're going to go back around again. And then back around. And now you end up with about 8 single layers of netting by doing it this way. And that's really what you want. Hook that on that one to hold it. Hook your second layer on this one and hold it. And then hook the last one on here and hold it. And you can just wrap the last edge around. And then what you can do is, you see you still have your opening here for your pole and to wrap around. And just make sure you have some, it's a little bit niggly to work with, but you're not trying to be nice and neat. Because if you're nice and neat, you get squares that are all lined up and a snake could get through. You want him to have to go through a big mess of netting, and that's what this is. So you can also use a few little wires to help you hold it down. And I'm hung up again. There we go. A few little zip ties to help you hold it down to your wires so it's not all fluffed up and stuff. And I'll get a few of those and put those on here. So I just use these little 4-inch cable zip ties to help make this netting a little more manageable. And then, by the way, make sure your arms are spaced out kind of evenly. But you don't want it flopping around everywhere and coming loose, so you can just stick a zip tie right in here. Don't want to make it tight. Just wherever you see it's trying to get away from you. And here's a spot here. I don't want to anchor it down too much. And then let's put one there. Okay, so we have some good double layers going through there. You can see that on the video. It's nice and thick, has several layers. You have an opening here. We're going to put that around the pole to mount it. And you just keep shaping it there till you're happy with it, but you want to make sure it's nice and wide away from your pole. Make sure you have several layers in there, and you can just use it to tackle itself up even. Okay, so let's take this out and put it on the pole, and I can show you how it goes on and how it adjusts for nest checks. Okay, so to put it on our pole, we want to get it above the predator guard, which keeps most of the snakes out, except for the very large one. And this is the reason that we left the opening. You've already shaped your wire around your pole. So I use zip ties to close the guard. Pull it together. And you want to get it as tight as you can on there, because you don't want any openings between the guard and your hole. Make sure I got the right, there we go. And I'll put a second one down here just to help keep it tight. Alright, so, and the reason we left this gap was so you could slide it on there. So now you want to close this gap, which the netting is doing for me. You might want to make sure your arms are evenly spaced. Make sure your netting is not hanging down over the guard. And you can just fiddle with it a little bit here to make sure it's shaped the way you want it. You may have to put some more zip ties on it just to bring it into the shape that you want, but you want messy layers. and not hanging down over your guard. There we go. Okay. So, let's see here. Walk around, check for gaps. Make sure there aren't any. And there you go. You may have to play with it a little bit. It can slide off these hooks or use more zip ties. But that's the reason for the hooks on the end of the wire. A messy guard keeps the snakes out. They can't crawl through that. Most of the snakes here never get past my cylinder guard. I've never caught a snake in my snake netting in the 15 years. Doesn't mean it won't ever happen, but this cylinder guard protects my poles from raccoons and snakes. But this is extra protection, especially for folks in the south. And I'll give you a close-up here. So you don't want any gaps between the netting and the pole, and the snake can get through. You can see there where I zip tied the frame that's holding the netting. We have layers upon layers of netting. It's not tight and packed because you don't want a snake to be able to use it as a launching board, or you don't want a snake to be able to put his weight on it and climb up there. You want to force him to go through it. So messy, many layers, and there's a difference of opinion about how far out to put the arms, but I put mine out 16 inches just to make sure. So there you go. So to do a nest check, we take the push this up, take the predator guard off, we'll take the safety bolt out. Slide this down all the way to the winch and get it down as low as we can, and then lower the gourd rack down. And then when we want to put the predator guard back on, slide this all the way up like that. Remount your predator guard. Remount your predator guard. Check your cable, and then pull your netting back down. And that's it. It's really just a matter of sliding it up and down. Check your netting, make sure there's no gaps that have opened up, and that's how you do snake netting. Hi guys, we're gonna cut some fencing here to show how to mount, do an easy how to mount, and do that. stuff out here in the wind. See, I've already got it tangled up in my coat. How funny. Okay. So, to do a nest check, we take the zip ties and we cut them off.